It's time to take 10 minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion of parshat Shoftim, a Torah society. If we look at the beginning of parshat Shoftim, it sort of lulls us into a notion that it all makes sense. And until we look at it again, and we realize that it doesn't. That there are things that are non sequiturs that don't seem to belong. Our job is to figure out how indeed it does fit together. We believe that the Torah is all righteous together. It all fits together like a glove. How so? Well, start off with Shoftim and Shotrim and L'cha b'chol sharecha. You have judges in all places. Now, firstly, what does that got to do with last week's parsha? The parsha would have to connect. You can't have one parsha and then just go into something else. So it said last week that we're supposed to go to the Shalosh Regalim 3 times a year. We go to Jerusalem. So he says, don't think that you can just go to Jerusalem and have a big court there, and then at home you'll have chaos. Well, let's say back in Haifa, back in Akko, back in Yafo, you'll have chaos? No. You have to have judges b'chol sharecha. All the cities have to have their own judges, even though there's a hired court in Jerusalem. So, okay, fine. So want to talk about judges? Let's talk about judges. You should judge righteously. Don't pervert justice. Don't recognize one person for their perhaps wealth or fame over the other. Don't take any briberies. Justice, you shall pursue. Tzedek tudov. Why twice? And with that, you will inherit the land. Or once you inherit the land, you gotta have a just society. So far, so good. So far, we have a whole section, and it's a paragraph in the Torah text about justice. There's another paragraph. Don't plant any trees next to the altar. We're not talking about altars. Why would you plant a tree? What's going on? Next verse that's connected in the Torah paragraphs, the parsha. Don't make a monument. God doesn't like monuments. The Gentiles, the idolaters, they make monuments. We don't make monuments. As the commentaries explain, you could make a monument for a person or something, but we don't make monuments to worship God. Okay. They used to do that. Abraham said, we don't do it anymore. Okay. So that's sort of the same question. Why can't we plant trees next to the altar? Why can't we have matzevot, these monuments? What does that got to do with having justice? Then it says, there's a little separate parsha, separate paragraph in the Torah text, not to have not to have an animal that has a blemish. What do blemishes have to do with setting up a just society? And then it gives a case. It says, if you have somebody who worshipped idols or the heavens, you find out, you look into it, you investigate, you take him to your court, and if need be, you stone him. And it has to have 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses. So, okay, we're going back to justice. In other words, don't tell me that we were finished with justice, so we went on to some other things about other random stuff. No, we're not finished with justice. We're continuing with justice. And then it says that there was another type of judgment where someone judged a certain way, and if there's someone who does not listen to the high priest, to the Kohen who's the judge in those days, then he will also be killed. So we're continuing to trust about justice, but in the middle we talk about planting a tree next to an altar, monuments, and blemishes. So what's going on here? So I want to share something from medieval commentary. Rabbi Yitzchak Arama lived around after the time of this expulsion of this from Spain. And Rav Tamir Gonot was a wonderful rabbi, lives in Tel Aviv today. So let's start with Rav Tamir Gonot. Rav Gonot says, look, you think we're going to judge, we'll judge based on, whatever we think. It's whatever is reasonable, as one legal system has it. Reasonable, that's what we'll do. We'll judge based on what I think. So he says, no, there are rules. You can't plant a tree next to the altar. Why not? It's beautiful. Can't do it. Don't put a a monument. Monuments are nice. Washington Monument, there are other monuments. Why can't you have a holy monument? What's the problem? No, it's against the laws. When you judge, to judge according to the law. And don't bring a blemish. Now, what does that got to do with it? So here we turn to Rabbi Zechariah. Rabbi Zechariah says, blemish, if you have a judge who is not fit to judge, it's like putting a tree next to an altar. You have a beautiful altar, and then you have a tree. What's the tree doing there? What's the matzeva? Why do you have a monument? What's that doing there? And why does it talk about blemishes? What does blemishes got to do with it? He says, if you have any kind of nitiyah, if you are persuaded any sort of way, there's a blemish in that. In other words, even if, let's say, Reuven and Shimon are fighting, come to court, you decide Reuven is correct. By the way, Reuven also slipped you a $100 bill. So you might say, well, Reuven is correct. I'm taking a tip for it, so what? I judged correctly. I thought about it. I was just about it. He says, no. It's like having a sacrifice with a blemish. It's a sacrifice. I brought it. It's nice. Everyone will eat it. They'll enjoy it. All right, so a little something in his eyelid is broken. All right, so what was it got to do with it? You say, no. Justice must be with justice. Here we turn to a thought of the tzedek bit tzedek, the Ksava Kabbalah, a rabbi in Germany. He said, when we say justice, we mean justice has to be pursued with justice. What do you mean? That you'll say, I did justice. Reuven was right. Reuven won the case. I'm the judge. I judged correctly. No, but if you judge in a corrupt way through bribery, it doesn't matter that you got it right. It's still wrong. Getting back to Rav Ganot's point, if you get the halacha right, but you violated the halacha, it's not the halacha. It's not Jewish law. Why does it talk about the idolater? So Rav Ganot says, the idolater, because it says you take the idolater and you bring him to the court. So the first verses say we have a court system. Then it says if you have idolatry, you bring him to the court. And by the way, you have to have 2 witnesses, maybe 3 witnesses. So we say to ourselves, well, of course, idolatry is a terrible thing, of course. So Rav Ganot says, you might have thought that since idolatry is so terrible, it's a cardinal sin, when you see someone worshiping idols, you throw the book at him, you stab him in the middle of the street like a Pinchas type of thing. So he says, no. Even justice must be done with justice. Even when someone does a terrible thing to worship idols, and there are plenty of witnesses, they're all over here. No, you got to bring him to the court. You have to have order. Just society. There has to be witnesses. You have to have warning. You have to take him to the court to go through the proper procedure. Then and only then can you indeed stone him. And then you have the man who doesn't listen to the high court. Well, maybe he doesn't feel like it. Maybe he thinks he knows better. We had many great rabbis, Rabbi Eliezer among them, who thought they had a better idea. They knew better than the high court. But they got into big trouble. Because even if they were great rabbis, even if they were correct, we listen to the Torah. Look, the Torah's not in heaven anymore. So God gave us the Torah. He doesn't come and give us a voice from heaven every day to explain exactly what the law is. We have to depend on the rabbis today, the majority of rabbis, the majority of great rabbis, the majority of rabbis who are accepted. And if another rabbi comes, he may even be greater than these other rabbis. But if he's not the majority, and he just wants to do his own thing, it doesn't work. So, as Rav Ganot says, we don't just have a God. God says, we all have a God. This group has a God. The Moabites have a God. And the Baal worshippers have a God. Everybody's got a God. Okay, so it's good. We all believe in a divinity. Now, when we say we believe in the Torah gives us specific guidelines of how to behave. And therefore, we have to follow according to that. That's why the next section is when we have a king, even he must follow Torah. Goes according to the Torah, not according to his whim, the dictator's whim. Even the king must read the Torah and follow it. In a just society, in the Jewish society, where we have the privilege of knowing the laws of God, then we can't judge according to our whim, and we can't execute according to our whim, We can't rule according to our whim. All must be done according to the laws of the Torah. If we do that, Yirtzeh Hashem, L'man Tichya, we will live, we will indeed inherit the land, continue to inherit the land for generations to come. That's our hope, and that's our prayer. Thank you for joining us here at the Baron Hirsch Congregation. Join us each week for a discussion of the parsha, the various holidays, and thanks to Jason Lefkowitz, our producer. And please, if you have a chance, send us a like, spread the word about our webcast. Sponsors are always welcome. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.